Hi, my name's Richard Martin from Scattering Ashes, and today I'm going to talk to you about things that you might not have considered when you got the ashes back from the funeral directors. Over the years we've collected a lot of things that people have said to us or have written to us about, so we thought we'd share that knowledge with you today. We've got 12 things, they're in a leaflet, you can come and get from us, it's free, about things that a family might need to consider. So, firstly and most importantly is don't rush to decide. People may put pressure on you to scatter or bury soon after a funeral. You don't need to do that. It's up to you. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. And people keep their ashes for 1, 2 years or maybe even longer. It's when you're comfortable to decide, then decide. But don't rush it. Number 2, all or nothing. You don't need to keep the ashes in one place, so sometimes it's appropriate for siblings to split the ashes, and if one's in a different country or you wanted to scatter at different locations, that's totally acceptable. Unless you've got a strong Catholic faith where it's been asked that you don't do that. Otherwise, it's fine. Number 3 is permission. So the law in the United Kingdom is pretty relaxed when it comes to scattering ashes, but you do need to ask the landowner's permission if you're going to choose a specific location. Number 4, access to the ashes. So especially if you're scattering in an urban environment, you must need to think about future land use. So once a sports ground that may relocate and sell it for housing, so that where you scatter the ashes is no longer accessible. So have a think about if you're going to use an urban environment or any environment, what the long-term uses are going to be. Number 5 is scattering in the garden. This is a very popular choice, but can often lead to distress if you need to move house. So one of the things that we suggest is that you put them in a garden ornament, and then you can take the ashes with you if you choose to move house. It can make the house move that slightly less stressful. Number 6. When last wishes are difficult. So somebody might say, scatter me at the top of Ben Nevis or scatter me in Jane Austen's garden. These are both examples where it's not permitted. So what you can do is just scatter a very small token amount at those places and then scatter the rest or bury the rest at, say, a family grave, and then everybody's wishes have been fulfilled and you haven't broken any promises or trusts. Number 7 is joint locations. So what might be appropriate for one person, for example a sports club, they really liked it, and you say, oh, well they really wanted to be associated with that sports club with their ashes, and then it might become inappropriate for the partner. So have a think about that, about what joint locations might be appropriate. Number 8, now this might seem obvious, but we get a number of complaints every year about people scattering and then leaving their urn at the scattering site. So please take the urn with you and dispose of it responsibly. Number 9, privacy. If you're going to have a family ceremony, then choose a time of year, a place and a time that will maximise the privacy. So if you're going to have a family get together on a August bank holiday at a famous scenic spot, chances are you're not going to get much privacy. So have a think about that and about where you could choose, perhaps not necessarily the iconic spot, but nearby, just so that you get the chance to have a meaningful ceremony with your family. Weather, number 10. This might seem slightly obvious, and every family's got a story of where the ashes have blown about and blown into people's faces and it's caused some distress, so just have a think about it. Yeah. So if you're going to a hilltop, it's going to be windier. Yeah. If you're going to choose the autumn or the winter, it's going to be windier. So if you choose somewhere slightly out of the wind, like a more secluded spot, then there's going to be less likely for the ashes to blow about. Number 11, burying is different to scattering. So if you're going to choose to bury, and this is certainly the case at a local authority cemetery, or on, even more importantly, on consecrated ground, then you really need to think long and hard about this, because once it's done, it can't really be undone. Certainly if it's Church of England consecrated ground, the chances of you getting the ashes moved to a different location are slim indeed. Finally, record it. So what might seem like obvious now, why you chose a specific location, who was there, what time of day, when you chose, they might all seem obvious and you'll remember it. In 10 years, you'll remember it less. And if you think about future generations, they might not have a clue at all why you chose a specific location. They may wish to choose to go and visit that spot. So just put a little note with the family records, birth certificates, that sort of thing, and so people in future generations will know where and why you chose that specific location. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much.